This is a quick episode to go over the principles of a healthy diet for your child. I just want to make sure that we're on the same page here because everybody really has their own view of what a healthy diet is. And in the case of autistic kids, because they suffer from many different metabolic and health challenges, we want to make sure that your child's diet is as impeccable as possible. So, principle number one of a healthy diet for your child, it must be fully organic, all organic. Every single product, food or drink, needs to come from an organic source. So, if it's fruits and vegetables, they need to be hopefully certified organic or from your local farmer that you know uses organic practices. They don't necessarily have to be certified organic as long as you know the person and you can trust them. And then the animal products, they need to again be either organically raised or you need to know the farmer. They need to be grass fed. For example, cows, if it's beef, it needs to be grass fed, pastured. Eggs likewise need to be pastured, and any dairy products, of course, need to come from organic sources if dairy is still a part of your child's diet. Now, this is extremely important because pastured animals are a lot healthier than their feedlot counterparts. So not only are cows and chickens given grains and all sorts of other, medications or hormones when they're in these confined factory operations. So obviously the animals are not going to be very healthy. They don't run around to build, to build muscle, to get sunshine, things like that. And then on the other hand, that's exactly what you get when you have pastured cows, chickens, things like that. They're out there in their natural habitat for the most part, running around. Chickens are eating bugs, cows are eating grass, getting sunshine, moving around, getting exercise. This is important because unhealthy animal products equal unhealthy humans. And this is to a great extent why meat seems to have been implicated as it causes disease and things like that. It's actually, if you get healthy, good quality meat, it's very much health promoting. Now, when it comes to fish, it's important to remember to stick with small wild caught fish, for example, sardines and anchovies. You want to stay away from the larger fish for the most part. Now, yourself, you might want to eat tuna once in a while, but for autistic kids, we would certainly want to stay away from large fish like that because they tend to live a long time, and because they're predatory, they also eat smaller fish. So it allows them a long time to bioaccumulate various toxins, including PCBs and heavy metals such as mercury, cadmium, arsenic, and so on. So stay away from large predatory fish. Stick with the wild caught small fish. Sardines from a can are also good. And it's important to remember that you might see organic salmon in the store. I would highly recommend that you stay away from any farmed fish. And if it's organic salmon, it means it's been farmed, right? And the problem there is that those fish are very much confined. They're eating things like grains that are not part of their normal diet. They might be organic grains, but they're nonetheless not a part of the animal's diet. And that greatly, it basically skews the omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acid content of the meat. So generally pastured and, animals fish that eat more algae and kind of in a natural habitat, they would tend to have more higher omega-3 fatty acids. Whereas, beef or cattle that eat grains, they'll have a higher omega-6 content. And the why is that important? It's because omega-3 fatty acids, as you probably know, they're anti-inflammatory and they're good for the brain. Whereas omega-6 fatty acids are more pro-inflammatory. So again, this is why you want pastured, wild caught, grass fed, organically raised. These are kind of the keywords when it comes to animal products because this goes back to the old, does meat cause disease or is it just bad farming practices causing unhealthy animals to, exert those effects on us? Next up, water. I mean, this should become a knowledge, but you want clean, filtered water free of contaminants from your child. So you certainly do not want to be giving your child tap water, which has things like copper, chlorine, fluoride, a manner, potentially dozens, if not hundreds of chemicals, additives, and contaminants. Next up, you want to minimize processed and junk foods. So sugar, artificial colors, additives, and all the other chemicals like emulsifiers and so on. You want to minimize all the processed foods that contain those. So as I talk in my book, a lot of those, while they not may not be necessarily, there might not be a causal factor or a link with autism, there's certainly a lot of associations with other conditions. So you want to minimize those foods from your child's diet. If you must buy snacks and things like that, try to buy them organic. There's, for example, corn chips and organic chocolate. There will be a lot less detrimental than if you buy Snickers or Kit Kats or things like that. Juices, especially, you want to stay away from just standard juices, juice boxes, things like that. They're very likely to have pesticides in them. So you want to, if you want to give your child juice, or your child wants juice, juicing some oranges or things like that, or making carrot juice, or just buying organic juice is probably your best bet. And that's the thing about organic products: the more demand there is, the more prices drop. So in fact, I've been in shops where, for example, corn chips were cheaper than organic. They were cheaper organic than non-organic. So there's certainly organic products certainly are becoming more popular, and prices are lowering as a result. Next principle is, of course, you want to exclude foods from your child's diet to which they are allergic or sensitive. So if you've done allergy testing, obviously you want to keep those foods out of the diet. And if and when you decide to do a food sensitivity test, you want to ensure that any highly reactive foods are kept out of your child's diet for at least 3 to 6 months before you begin to introduce them again. This 3 to 6 month period gives your child's immune system a break, and during that time, the immune system starts producing less and less antibodies to those foods. And hopefully, in that time, you're working with your practitioner to improve your child's gut function, to positively modulate the immune system. And when you introduce those foods later, they should not be as reactive as before. And then finally, it should go without saying, but your child's diet needs to have adequate calories, so not too much or not too little. So those are really the core principles. If you were to ask me what the most important thing out of this discussion to remember is, it's just do yourself a favor, do your child a favor, try to make as many organic substitutions as possible in the near term. And long term, the best decision is to stay away from all those products, because they're truly putting a burden on your child. Every single bite, every single plate of food that has chemicals, pesticides, herbicides, it's taxing your child's detoxification capacities. Basically, it's hindering your child's ability to reach optimal health. So I hope you found this episode useful, and I'll see you on the next one.